To practice law, you have to pass the bar exam, but everyone doesn't pass the bar exam. Today we're talking about 5 things to do if you fail the bar exam. Keep watching. All right, Kyla Denanyoh, very happy to see you. So today we're talking about 5 things to do if you fail the bar exam, okay? So the first thing you should do if you fail the bar exam is breathe. Literally breathe, because depending on what state you're in, you are shocked, you're embarrassed, you're devastated, right? I took the bar exam in the state of Louisiana, and there is a public listing of everyone who passed the bar exam. So you could literally go to a website, click on the test takers for July 2015, see the list of names. They have your name, I believe they have your school, and probably your NCBE number, which is the National Conference of Bar Examiners number. And it's there. It's public. You're on the list, you're not on the list. Now, Louisiana has a caveat of there could be your name listed on a separate list and there's a little asterisk or something next to it saying that they need additional information. Typically that's if they need an MPRE exam, which is the multi-state professional responsibility exam. Sometimes if you don't have that score, then you pass the actual bar exam, but you're not qualified to get sworn in yet. And so that list is very public. It's very public. And when I found out I didn't pass the bar exam, the reason why I'm telling you to breathe, you forget to breathe when your world is crumbling around you. After you studied for 3 years, studied for 12 weeks to prepare for the exam, take the exam, pay for the exam, and then you find out that you didn't pass the exam, all you can do is sit there, sit for a good couple of minutes, breathe, and just let it soak in, right? Because it's devastating and you're gonna need some time to process it, but you can't do that immediately, nor do you need to do that immediately. Now, I'm not a therapist, so this is not, medical advice, but take a beat, let yourself sit with it, and then you can start to strategize and think about the next thing, right? But first, breathe. The second thing that you need to do when you find out that you did not pass the bar exam is talk to somebody. One of my mentors when I was in law school told me that I would know if I passed the bar exam because my phone would be blowing up. And I laughed. Oh, haha, that's cute. Your phone will be blowing up. No, your phone will be blowing up if you pass the bar exam, especially in Louisiana, because the list is public, right? People will see it. And I was in Louisiana, and there are 4 law schools in the state of Louisiana, but you do not have to have gone to school in Louisiana to take the Louisiana bar exam, okay? So the room that I'm sitting in, there's tons of people, but I was definitely amongst my classmates. People saw me studying, people saw me there taking the exam that day, and then lo and behold, where's your name, right? So my phone was not blowing up, and I'm like, oh, other people are celebrating themselves, and then they're gonna call me, and then you check the list. Oh, well, maybe I had something that was missing, and you check the conditional list. Maybe they spelled my name wrong. I won't even call it a delusion because my mind was saying, where is your return on investment? Money aside, the time away from home, the time I spent in Louisiana, the time I spent studying, the time I spent going to courses, all of that. All of that time gone. Step 2, make sure you talk to somebody, communicate with someone. Even if you take that whole day, weekend, week, and sit with it yourself, you're gonna need to talk to somebody about it eventually, because while you went to law school as yourself, obviously, you were also surrounded by other people. People that you went to school with also took the exam. Maybe you have attorneys or lawyers in your family. I guarantee you that somebody else was invested in the fact that you were going to law school. And so it'll be good for you to talk to those people, right? Now, use your best judgment. Don't talk to the one person who's going to say, see, I told you you wouldn't pass. But you need to talk to somebody about it because you have to get it off of you, right? You have to let somebody in and you have to find a way to just get those emotions out, get those words out, right? So the bar exam is not supposed to be an evaluation of your ability to practice law. It's not supposed to be an evaluation of your success as a person. It's not supposed to say, wow, here's a gold star for being great. It is supposed to test minimal competency to practice law. There's a ton of debate out there about whether or not that's true, but you will need to communicate with someone. So that's number 2. The third thing that you need to do when you fail the bar exam is journal. If you are not a journaler, this is a great time to start, because most lawyers and most law students love writing. They love words, but it feels so good to write. Even if you got to go old school, pen and paper, and write it out, because you need to write down what you're feeling. And I journaled through school, not very frequently, but I did journal when I was in law school. I journaled before law school. I journaled after law school. But there's some things that you'll write in the moment that you need to see, right? You can look back on it 2 years later, 6 months later, and be like, wow, I felt like that. How can I make sure I never feel like that, right? There's all kinds of things and benefits to journaling, but the third thing that you should do if you fail the bar exam is start the journal. You need to write down exactly what you're feeling, even if it is a list of curse word, curse word, curse word. I'm never taking it again, curse word, curse word. You're getting it out, right? You're freeing it. Because what happened with me was that my identity was tied into becoming an attorney, period, right? And that was why I went to law school. I didn't know what type of law I wanted to practice. I started thinking I was going to be an environmental lawyer. As I was completing law school, I fell in love with criminal procedure, and I was like, maybe I'll do, some criminal defense. And then I had a construction law professor who reminded me again of why I wanted to do environmental law. I was like, wow, maybe I can work with a big construction company, make sure that their permits are correct so that they are protecting the environment. Oh, this would be incredible, right? So I kind of came full circle with what I wanted to do. But when I was in law school, I interned at a criminal defense office, and I also worked at the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. I'll put up a picture of my ID card when I worked there. And so I didn't know what type of law I was going to practice. And to be honest, I would have practiced whatever paid the best, because coming out of law school, I was ready to get back to working. But when I look back on my journal and I see the things that I was interested in, sometimes it reminds me of things that I forget. Sometimes it reminds me of things that seem like they were just groundbreaking, earth-shaking at the time, and they actually weren't that important. So it is really important to journal, get those feelings out, get those emotions out, and it could probably serve you in the future. The fourth thing you need to do when you fail the bar exam is forgive yourself. And I say this fourth and not first because you don't want to do this first. It's probably not even on your mind to do first, right? And the reason I say forgive yourself is that a lot of law students are type A. They're the first to raise their hand. They're always volunteering for stuff. They believe that they can always be right. They will study and do everything they need to do to show that they are right. There's a phrase we use in law school, which is a gunner, the person who always has their hand up first. Usually there's 7 or 8 people in law school that are doing that, because we want to be the ones to say, I did my work, look at me, I'm fancy, right? And so whether you are type A or type B, even if you were just a go-getter and you want to change the world, wanting to change the world is a big quality that a lot of lawyers have, because they believe they can do it. We have this unending kind of confidence. Give it to me and I'll handle it, right? That's how a lot of us feel, right? So I say forgive yourself because you failed an exam. You're not a failure. And even saying those words, it makes me smile, but it took me a long time to be able to say them, because I'm not a failure. I failed an exam. But I am not a failure. And that's not the first thing that comes to your mind after you fail the bar exam, right? The bar exam is problematic, I say in quotation marks, because there's a lot of lawyers who believe that the bar exam does not test what it's supposed to test. There's a lot of licensed attorneys who believe that even though they took the bar exam, they don't think that it's a good gauge or gate for letting in competent and capable attorneys. But right now, where we are, 2022, you have to pass a state bar exam to become a licensed attorney, okay? Look, I jumped a step. If I don't pass the bar exam, I can't become a practicing attorney. If I don't become a practicing attorney, I can't work at a law firm. If I don't work at a law firm, how am I going to work my way up to become a partner? And how am I going to get a house? And how am I going to do all this stuff? Right? Because a lot of times law students and lawyers, we're always looking for the next thing. You have a 5-year plan. You're always thinking about it. You have an 8-year plan. You have a 10-year plan, right? When you were a 1L in law school, which for those that don't know is your first law year, we call ourselves 1Ls. You're already talking about on-campus interviews for the job that you'll get out of law school. In Louisiana, the bar exam is 3 days, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The way that I performed, the words that I wrote during those days, the multiple choice questions that I answered on those days, whatever my hunger level was, whatever I was thinking about at the time, it all comes down to those 3 days. The way that I perform on those 3 days determines whether or not I become a licensed attorney, period, right? So forgive yourself for the fact that you didn't perform on those 3 days. You didn't. And even your top tier schools, Harvard Law School, 97.8% of law school graduates who wanted to take a bar exam took a bar exam within 2 years and passed. So even still, not even 100%. And 19 of the people who graduated from Harvard Law School did not even take a bar exam within 2 years. So there are a ton of people who are doing things outside of practicing law with their law degree. So you have to forgive yourself, because once you forgive yourself, you can start to think what's next. Although these are 5 steps, they don't have to be completed in order whatsoever. They're just the way that I'm presenting them. But you got to forgive yourself so that you can start to think about next steps. And last step, step 5, decide what you're going to do next. You're going to do something next, right? You're in this moment right now. It sucks. You're devastated. You're heartbroken. You're embarrassed. You're ashamed. You feel wasteful. All of the things, right? So what are you going to do next? Are you going to take the bar exam again? Are you going to take the bar exam in a different state? Are you going to get a job? When I sat for the bar exam, I took out a bar loan, which was enough money to cover my rent, gas money, and food for the 3 months while I was studying for the bar exam. That money is not used for actually taking the bar exam because I sat for the July 2015 bar exam, so I had to pay for it in February 2015. So that money is not used actually towards paying for the bar exam, but it was paid for just taking care of myself. The bar exam is administered twice a year, in February and in July, typically every year, right? This is recorded after the situation, and I know a lot of stuff changed for that, but typically the bar exam is every February and every July. And for the February exam, you would pay and apply to take the bar exam in November the year before, and for the July bar exam, typically your paperwork has to be turned in by February of that year. After you decide what you're going to do next, get moving. You took the LSAT, the law school admittance test. You applied to law school. You got into law school. You completed it. You graduated. You took the MPRE. You paid for, applied to, and took a bar exam. You are capable of doing great things. So what's next, right? So that's the last thing that you have to think about. What's next? And then what's next could be, I'm going to do nothing for a month. And that's perfectly fine, right? Because although I did these 5 things after failing the bar exam, it took me about 2 years to forgive myself for failing the bar exam. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it's not an easy process and it will affect every lawyer differently. But give yourself time, sit in it, try to do some of these 5 steps. This is Kyla Denanyoh. Talk to you later. Bye.